In this story, I accompany my wife Elena to a party that I'm not keen on attending. Unbeknownst to me, this gathering pushes our marriage to the brink of loyalty. Elena, a financial expert, has a connection with a football star named Derek, who poses a threat to our marriage. This is not just a social event, it's a contest of trust and betrayal. Welcome to the Love and Betrayed Love channel. If you enjoy this story, don't forget to subscribe and give it a thumbs up. Alex Carter accompanied his wife Elena to the party. He didn't want to go there and he didn't want her to go, but she insisted. The party took place at the estate of famous football midfielder. Derek White is 34 years old and retired after leading his team to the Super Bowl last year. He was large, blonde and rich, made his fortune by wisely investing money from sponsors under Elena's company and, more recently, under Elena herself, and Elena is a financial expert and works for Bragg Incorporated. The company works with many athletes and celebrities. Elena is 30. She is a stunning blonde beauty and Alex considered himself lucky to have won her over and married her in college 8 years ago. Their son, Liam, is 7 years old and looks just like his father. Alex is almost 6 feet tall and has a medium build. He looks good-natured, but that's not true. He wasn't always this big as a child. He was always the smallest and poorest child. His father, Ethan, was a sergeant in the army and served at the same base throughout Alex's life. Alex was an only child and his mother, Lydia, was a housewife. She was a second-generation Vietnamese. This slightly aggravated Alex's problems with his neighbors. Lydia was an excellent mother, but sitting at home she could not protect Alex from the big boys. For a while, Alex's only defense was running. He was good at it, but when he was 7 he lost the race. He returned home beaten. His father talked to him about it and then sent Alex to a family friend, Milo Quinn, at Milo's dojo. Alex learned to fight. Milo did not call it the euphemistic word self-defense, but simply a fight. Alex turned out to be a born fighter. Almost endless resentment and even hatred seeped within him. Milo's job was to channel these traits and keep them from popping up at the wrong time. In terms of technique, Alex was strong and fast, although small. He went to Jojo's dojo 4 days a week, including Sunday. This was his church and wrestling was his religion. Ethan and Lydia were a little hesitant about whether Alex should attend the dojo. But in addition to being fast and strong, Alex was also smart. He never got less than an A in any subject. I honestly told my parents that about much of his work in the dojo involves controlling his emotions. This is exactly what Milo told Ethan, without mentioning that controlling emotions allows you to fight much more effectively. An emotional blow will most likely be sweeping and careless, but to cause maximum damage, it must be precise. The same goes for a kick or head strike. One day, when he was 9 in an alley near school, Alex kicked the ass of a bigger, older kid. Literally kicked it, but he was able to contain his rage. The child was hurt, but nothing serious, and after that Alex was no longer a target. It's amazing how rumors spread around school. At 16 Alex gained height and at 17 he gained strength. This process made him slightly less dexterous, but Milo was able to handle it. At 18 out of high school, Alex was deadly. Thanks to excellent grades. Alex entered the local university at public expense. He studied mathematics and computers and majored in business. It was in business classes during his junior year and senior year that he met and became attracted to Elena. They liked each other immediately, at first due to their obvious intelligence and common interests, but soon an intimate relationship arose between them. They were completely sexually compatible. Elena is an adventurer and explorer, and so is Alex. They were always looking for ways to make life interesting, but none of these ways involved anyone else. Well, not really. Sometimes Alex wanted Elena to be actress Jamie Lee Curtis, his favorite fantasy from the film Blue Steel. Sometimes he could be Elena's flavor of the month, but they both made it clear that fantasy is all there is to it. When they agreed to get married, they wrote it down and signed it. This was not a marriage contract but a solemn promise. After graduating from school, Elena immediately began to earn a lot. She was as smart as Alex, well, almost as smart. Her career at Bragg was only slightly delayed by the birth of Liam. Alex worked at a local company doing computer programming. He could work from home, so after 2 months Alex became Liam's primary caregiver. Alex also observed Elena's work. He was interested in her, having received a good bonus for the program. He wrote he invested it in a startup found on Elena's list of promising projects. The magnetism startup was actually making money. 3 guys offered to gather dating information to bring singles together and also other people. It was a promise and it worked out well. Alex made a lot of money from the startup's initial public offering and then retired. It seemed to him that the time to exploit the idea was running out and others would soon copy it. He told Elena about this. She thought about it and asked her clients to also leave the game. The exit of her clients marked the beginning of magnetism's downfall. Alex made a short sale, perhaps illegal, perhaps not. Alex now had a large amount of money to invest. He didn't tell Elena about all this. 5 years have passed since their marriage and lately Alex has been alarmed by her behavior. She spent less time with the family, so he kept quiet about his business successes. He registered a company and received a salary from it, and quit his job and started his own business programming for various government agencies. The job was restricted and he had to get clearance. He got it and he got access to information about himself. In the clearance, the section on Elena was revealing. Now she was a major player in her company and earned much more than Alex had expected. Alex checked where the money was and discovered that it was in an investment account at her company. Not illegal. Everything is in the public domain, but Elena didn't mention it at home. She contributed to a joint account and they filed taxes separately, but although Elena was a financial expert, she paid little attention to her computer. I just wasn't interested in technology other than as an investment. Therefore her life was an open book for Alex. He avoided delving too deeply into her affairs on work matters, but having discovered the investment account, he thought thly search at her laptop and a new mobile phone. There were plans for her work. Alex's observation of Elena's technique did not raise any suspicions that she was walking, and that was precisely what Alex was interested in. Instead, she seemed ingrained in her work and the celebrities she and her company represented. The two of them went to parties thrown by actors, basketball players, baseball players, singers and just rich people. These parties happened about 5 or 6 times a year and Alex usually enjoyed it, even if Elena forgot about it once she got to the venue, but she always went home with him and never disappeared long enough to arouse suspicion. Their sex life was almost as great as ever. Almost sometimes Alex felt like she was somewhere else. He felt this way, maybe once a month. This was one of the reasons he decided to check on her more often, but in the end I decided that she was absent solely for work. Everything went as usual until she got Derek Grayson as a client. Grayson was married to actress Isabella Vaughn. She was a beauty and they had 2 daughters, 6 and 8 years old. Elena's predecessor was Jake Blake. He was a rake and got into trouble by having the whites as clients and making a determined attempt to seduce Isabella Vaughn. Jake didn't succeed completely, but she was seduced to such an extent that Derek noticed so. Jake went elsewhere and Elena got his job. Part of the reason she got it was because she was a woman and Derek asked for it. She didn't know that Derek was asking for her. Specifically, when Elena got white as a client, she began to spend even more time at work. She also went with Derek Grayson and Isabella to lunch. Isabella knew that Derek had specifically asked that Elena handle his investments, so I went to lunch with them just to see what was what. Surprisingly, she wasn't completely against Derek having sex with Elena. She herself wanted to go to bed with her co-star in the film she was soon to star in. I thought that if Derek Elena he wouldn't be able to complain about her and Dirk Madden, unless it was too public. At lunch she saw that Derek was very interested in Elena. He tried to act businesslike, but she knew him very well. Elena didn't know Isabella even wondered if Elena would give in to Derek. She studied Elena and knew that she was married and had a child, but her husband was not a wanderer and stayed at home taking care of his son. He looked average and she thought Derek would be successful. She didn't care about Elena's marriage or her family. If Elena screws up, It will be on her. Isabella and Derek were married for almost 10 years. In the first years, while on the road he walked around a bit. It never bothered her too much. She did this herself, but in the last 6 years, ever since they both found out about each other's sins, they promised to save their marriage and they both succeeded. But now Derek lusted after his financial advisor. Of course she was a beauty, but still Isabella constantly dealt with sexy men, using her on themselves, and only recently with Dirk, she felt a strong temptation. She decided that a little activity on the side would not ruin their marriage. He loves his children and so does she. They will both forgive each other. Maybe they will even be able to come to an agreement in a different way. Derek was one of the best sex Isabella had ever had. It would have been difficult for her to give it up, but she had come to believe that lack of variety could be the spice of a bland life, at least in the sexual part of it. After dinner, Isabella joked with Derek as they drove home. "Do you want this? I saw everything, no matter how hard you tried to hide it from me. Sorry, we made a promise and I will keep it. What if I let you go? Will you let me go?" "Why?" "Because of that, Dirk. I don't believe what I heard about his manhood in his pants, but maybe you know about it, don't know, just rumors, so to speak. No direct experience, but we will work together for 2 months and he will pursue me to show him off and you'd like to see if it works. Maybe if he turns out to be a loser, then it will only be a one-time thing." "Isabella, I don't agree. We have a family and we will keep it. I will always love you the most. The other one won't interfere with this, didn't interfere before. Anyway, I see what you're going to try for that woman, and she's married Derek, and she has a child, not to mention my husband." Derek looked at her. "You are offering something like an exchange, an eye for an eye, more like breasts for a man's instrument. But yes, you will have to make every effort to keep this a secret. I don't want girls to read about this in the newspapers or online. This will be my main condition for him. If he breaks it, I'll let you break it. I will say that you are a jealous husband who has many friends with guns. It's clear. Maybe let me think it over. Do you know what? It is quite possible that she will not give in to your efforts. Wouldn't that be great? No substitutions. The deal is concluded only for her. You think I can't have her nonsense prove it? I don't believe the words." She grinned, and again I thought that men are so simple. That's how Elena became Derek Grayson's target. After lunch, Elena drove back to her office. She wasn't as ignorant as the famous couple thought she was. She just knew how to put on a poker face in public, but she knew that Derek was excited throughout lunch from where she stood. She saw it, but Isabella did not. However, Isabella seemed to know this. Elena wondered which one of them turned him on so much, but she decided that it must be her, not his wife. For 10 years, no matter how sexy she is, Elena had to decide what to do with Derek. Keeping his account was a big step forward for her, but she didn't really need it that much. What did she need? Because if she was honest with herself, she knew she could accept Derek's offer. He was big, brash and strong. Alex was also strong, but not big. He also didn't show too much personality. Another thing to consider was that Derek has a very large man tool. As she noticed during lunch, it was bigger than she'd ever had it, and she admitted to herself that she was curious. Then there was the idea that Derek was married to a beautiful movie star, and yet he wants her, an ego boost that Elena didn't need at all. On the other hand, she has a family and a wonderful husband. She didn't want to ruin it all. She also knew that if she started secretly dating Derek, Alex would find out about it and it would destroy him. It will destroy the family too. She thought the risk was too great and she decided to refuse Derek. But Derek was persistent. As Isabella's filming date approached, Derek worked hard on Elena. At first I did it subtly. Then rougher Elena was drawn to him like a magnet. It got to the point where she would get excited when he entered the room, but she would constantly turn him down. One day she allowed him to kiss her after a business meeting in her office. The kiss was hot, but she pulled away and disappeared behind her desk. She was breathing heavily and he was hard as a rock. He said, "Let's do this, Elena, nobody will know. We both really want this." She nearly cried with disappointment, as she said, "I made a promise to Alex and I won't break it." "I will not." Derek accepted it. He turned and left her office, although he was just as upset as she was. He returned home and took it all out on Isabella. Relaxed and let it happen. Everything was amazing for her. She liked it when Derek took her like a savage, even though he was a savage under a thin layer of plaster, perfect for her. When it was all over, they were lying on the bed, exhausted as if they had survived a hurricane. Isabella said, "I believe your financial advisor is keeping you on your toes to my advantage. I'm rooting for her, not you, but if she starts to upset you anymore, I might have to run away." She was making fun of him and he knew it. "I'll drive her away. She's just too devoted to her husband. If you think about it's admirable. Why not leave her alone? If you succeed, she will be a complete ass, and not just because of you. I can't leave it like this while you have sex with a stallion. I bet he's nothing special, but that won't stop you, right? I told you if he's not too good, I'll only do it once. I may have to kill him, Isabella. I can get so upset with Elena, then wait until filming is over. We don't want to spoil the film, but his mysterious death right before its release will boost the box office." They giggled. Derek thought it over. He was pretty sure Elena wanted him as much as he wanted her. When they kissed, he felt her passion and she felt his. She gasped when this happened, but he had no intention of forcing her. Isabella was already getting ready to film when Derek had an idea and talked to Elena about it. "Elena, I can't tell you how much I respect your dedication to your marriage, because I know how much you want me. But I have an idea." Elena immediately became wary, "Which I want to throw a party in Black Rock. There will be a lot of fun. People there. Remember when you said that your man's secret fantasy is Jamie Lee Curtis? So what now? She is not at all the same as she was in the film he likes." Derek showed her a photo of the woman who played the second female role in the film Isabella, the role of the Temptress Lord. "She looks just like that one. Who is this?" "This is Ava Parker. She's filming Isabella's new movie and might be at the party." "And what? Why is this?" "I can arrange for her to hit on Alex while dressed appropriately. She's 24 and Isabella says she's ready for adventure. And then what will we do?" Isabella will have her co-star Dirk later, when everyone had left. She would take him upstairs. Ava will take Alex upstairs. "We will stay with you. You want me to have sex with you and he would have sex with a starlet. Good idea, Isabella. She'll be out with that idiot. Dirk, I need well. We can move on while she's gone, or it could just be the weekend. Everything is nice and cozy but Alex will refuse and then he will understand that I set him up. He's not a very nice person when he's angry. Can he really hurt you?" "No, not for me, Derek, don't worry about it, no fights, it's much smaller. I may also have security. Actually, at these parties, I always have security. He goes to some dojo." You know, Derek just smiled. The conversation took place during lunch at a restaurant and they were sitting in a dark booth. Derek is next to her. He pulled her towards him and kissed her as she turned around, placing her hand on his hard manhood. She did not remove it and kissed him in response. He thought he could take her right here, but it was too risky. She weakly pushed him away and whispered, "Oh my God, Derek. Oh damn God." She pressed the button to call the waiter and he immediately appeared, looked at them, but said nothing. Derek paid the bill and they left. Elena returned from lunch in her car. The Black Rock party was scheduled to take place on Friday afternoon. Musical groups, many celebrities, mostly from films, possibly several ball players and perhaps a wife or maybe not. Elena was worried about how to invite Alex to the party and how to get him to make the trade. She knew him and he didn't seem sexually flexible, at least as far as other partners are concerned. That's why they signed that promise. In addition, he is smart and will immediately understand what is happening, but if she tells him in advance, he will never go that night over dinner. Chicken roast, Alex's signature dish. Elena told him about the party. Alex, Derek and Isabella are having a party before she leaves for filming. There will be many celebrities there. We're invited on Friday this week. Alex looked at her. He knew about her attempts to confront Derek at some point. He himself was going to confront Derek, but decided to see what would happen. He must trust his wife. Derek isn't the only handsome guy around her, but Alex knew Derek might have made some progress. He had information from a source at her work. He also knew that she had turned Derek down more than once. I wanted to talk to you about Derek Grayson. It seems to me that you are too close. He's after you, and from what I hear, he's close to getting you. It would be a disaster for you. I didn't do anything with him. He approaches me and I say no, well, maybe, but not a categorical no, right, and she never told me about it. Alex, I want to go to a party and I want you to be there too. I'm not going to change. What I think is that you should leave him as a client, like the previous guy, only in reverse. Now he has sexual desire. Maybe he should take a gay guy. You have two of them in your company. I won't do this. I admit that he is a temptation, but I won't give in. I don't want to go to the party there. He will try his best to get you. Things could get ugly if he does, Alex. He is a grown guy and there will be security there. I can take care of myself. No offense. Elena knew Alex went to the dojo, but I didn't know how long he'd been doing this or how good he was at what they were doing there. She seemed to know about his deep-seated rage, but she didn't know just how strong it could be. After all, she didn't know how dangerous the party could become. Alex knew and he resisted. However, as we learned at the very beginning, she insisted on her own that Friday Alex drove Liam after school to his parents' house in the neighboring county. They will pick him up on Sunday evening. The real reason Alex agreed to go to the party was because he wanted to settle the issue with Derek once and for all. He was tired of living in tension and he was angry about it. Black Rock was Derek and Isabella's 10.5-hectare country estate. It gets its name from the large dark rock that juts out from the center of the lake. On the estate there was a large central mansion, a swimming pool, a tennis court and a large ballroom built at the rear of the house. The party was scheduled to start at 700 buffet and open bar. As Alex was told, the clothes are casual. Elena came downstairs. She looked like a movie star. Her navy blue dress looked casual. In the same way, a habanero pepper might seem innocuous, but both Elena and Pepper were the hottest things in the world. This did not reassure Alex. He was wearing slacks, a black and white silk shirt over trousers and loafers. His shoes, while attractive, were functional. Seeing Elena, he said, "Well, everything is clear. We'll stay home and have sex." This is exactly what the dress is for, and blushed. "Do you think I look good?" Alex didn't smile, as he said, "You look amazing, as you know very well. I'm just wondering who you dressed up for, you baby, only for you. Then can we stay and have fun here?" "No, the main thing is to look good for all the movie stars and celebrities. You look great too." Alex looked at her for a long time. He didn't believe her, but he smiled and walked over to the stereo. He had a song ready, Phil Collins Live Tonight. He pressed the play button. It was a song he often used to practice fighting. She had everything for this: anger, rhythm, harmony, drum guiding blows. When the time came, the music started playing and he pulled Elena into his arms. She was amazed. Sometimes she heard him humming this song as if in a trance, but now he danced her around and then led her out the door when it closed. Energized by the drumming, he jumped into the air and kicked the branch of a tulip popper tree in their yard. The whole way there was a song playing in his head. He was ready if necessary. When they arrived at the house there were parking attendants, but Alex told them that he would find a place for himself, although I still gave a tip. Then I drove up to the parking spaces and took one that allowed me to leave immediately. He also gave a tip to the parking attendant so that he would not force the car. Elena was concerned about Alex's behavior. The song that sounded outside the door seemed strange to her, although good. It was just alarming how Alex reacted. A kick from a branch made Elena blush. Then there's the parking story. It looked like Alex was preparing for battle. As they walked towards the main entrance, she asked him, "Why did you do that?" And the song. "What for? It's like you're well, I don't know. You're preparing for war." "Yes, that's all he said." Elena turned to him saying, "Alex, let's have some fun today. Let loose, have fun. I need a fun evening. Maybe you two just relax and let things take their course." "Okay. That's what I always do in certain situations, baby, and today let's see how everything goes. If things go wrong, it could be the end of us, Elena. Everything flows one way or another." She turned pale for some reason. It seemed that he knew, but from where she remembered how smart he was. Everything is flushed down the toilet before it even begins, but she remembered Ava. Maybe all is not lost yet. They approached the entrance. Derek and Isabella were alerted to the couple's arrival and that they were parking their car. Ava was warned to arrive a little later and they themselves met them at the door. Isabella hugged Alex. She was beautiful and she smelled good. Derek also hugged Elena, saying, "Elena, you look so great." Derek then turned to Niku. "Alex, we've heard a lot about you. Nice to meet you." He extended his hand to shake. Alex took it. Derek began to squeeze her like a man. The action was completely wrong. Alex responded in kind, but not hard enough to cause Derek permanent pain. Derek let go. Alex smiled at him and said, "Nice to meet you, Derek. Judging by that shrug, maybe I haven't heard enough about you from Elena." This stopped the conversation for a second as there was a drawn-out pause. Isabella then said, "Why don't we go inside and meet our other guests?" They were introduced in a circle. There were 4 or 5 football players with women. 2 of them are wives. There was Dirk and several other actors and actresses. There were 2 boxers and a lot of pretty women who were just there. It looked like a stocked pay pond. Alex wandered around. There was a buffet B and Alex got himself a salad. Elena was with one of the boxers and Alex could see she was in sales mode. Fine, Alex took the seltzer. He had no intention of drinking this evening. Alex watched as Derek walked over to Elena and took her by the elbow. She turned to him and gave him a sexy smile, but then she said something that made him tense. Derek looked back, saw Isabella and waved to her. Isabella disappeared around the corner and then appeared behind. Alex with her was the sexiest woman Alex had ever seen. She looked like Jaime right down to her hair and build. Alex was stunned. Isabella said, "Alex, I'd like to introduce you to Ava Parker, my co-star in the film. She is a real talent." Alex was speechless for a moment. In his opinion, this woman made Elena and Isabella look like witches. Finally, he said, "Hello, you are awesome." Ava is used to guys reacting to her, but she was surprised by Alex's reaction, which seemed real, and smiled at him. She knew her role for tonight. Isabella said that the guy was ordinary, but Ava, when she saw him, did not agree with this. He made an indelible impression on her. To her, he looked strong and robust. Isabella saw all this and was amazed that Sam seemed to be completely smitten. She wasn't such a good actress that she faked her reaction. Sam came to her senses, took Alex by the elbow and led him towards the pool for privacy. Sam had doubts. She didn't mind the idea of Alex half to death or vice versa, but he was nice. They talked a little. Alex asked her about films. She acted in several, but this was her biggest role. She asked Alex about his work and he gave her the short version. At the same time, they continued to look at each other. The more they talked, the more Ava wanted to sleep with Alex, and she definitely made it clear to him. No fake smiles, a look of pure lust back and forth sitting there, they attracted attention. Meanwhile, Elena and Derek were dancing. Elena saw Alex introduced to Ava. Then she and Derek went to the dance floor. 2 quick dances and they went to the bar. Isabella and Dirk came up. Elena asked Isabella, and how did Alex react to Ava? Isabella felt a little awkward and Elena noticed it. The alarm went off. She asked what's the matter. Isabella replied, I would say that they fell in love with each other. I've never seen anything like it. Elena was shocked. Where are they? I think. By the pool. Elena went to look and saw the same thing as everyone else, 2 people who are at the very least blown away. She asked Isabella, is she playing so well or is she really falling in love? I fell in love, and it's not just lust. Amazing, looks like your plan to screw Derek is going to work today. He is all yours, perhaps even for a long time, judging by them. Elena said, crap, oh my god. Ava decided to tell Alex the whole truth if they were going to be together. She didn't want it to be based on deception. So she told him that she was supposed to distract him to a consolation prize. Alex realized this. She said, Alex, I can't do this. I have strong feelings for you. They didn't plan this, so please call me if you feel the same way I do. Maybe we can do something about it. Well, you know, depending on what happens here. Alex said, I'll call you Sam. Anyway, you are the woman of my dreams. I fell in love with you. Sam quickly kissed Alex and walked towards the parking lot all the way. He looked after her as had a good rhythm, same as his fight song. He started hearing the song again and then got up to look for Elena. There was no way he was going to let her have sex today, except maybe with him. Alex found Elena dancing with Derek, a slow dance. The place for dancing has already been cleared. Only Elena and Derek, Isabella and Dirk danced a slow dance. Isabella and Dirk kiss it on the dance floor. Elena and Derek did this less obviously. Elena had her doubts, her husband, her love. She may have lost him, but she didn't believe it. Not really, and Derek's big tool was driving her crazy, rubbing against her stomach. Her ambivalence evaporated. Lust was winning the battle. She let Derek grab her ass and pull her towards his tool. He moved back and forth as if they had already had sex. Derek kissed her sometimes tenderly, sometimes more insistently. Elena is lost. At that moment Alex emerged from around the corner. He moved to the rhythm of his song. 2 guards moved towards him. Alex ignored them. They were big guys, but he thought that they had only size and no ability to fight. Alex patted Derek on the shoulder. I'm cutting in. Derek replied, go, Sam, today, Elena is mine. I sent Sam away. She's gone, but Elena is free and she's my wife. So off Derek walked away. He waved his hand to his guards. They came up. Alex looked at Elena and said, you set me up, woman, and if you stay here, we're done, for there will be no turning back. I do not believe in this. You won't leave our family because of one night, the only night, we bet, because I won't let you have sex with this guy, and if I have to kill him, I will do it. This made everyone freeze. Mike could see that Alex was deadly serious, but he couldn't understand how Alex could carry out his threat. He waved his hand towards the 2 guys. Elena froze. When Alex spoke now, she was afraid there was no more sexual arousal. She said, I don't understand why you wouldn't agree to this. You really like Ava. You could have a great time, and so would I. Alex replied, I can't allow this. We made promises. I do mine and you will do yours, whether you like it or not, at least this evening. If you feel like you need a new male instrument, we can divorce, but your little setup won't work here. Isabella said, Derek, leave it alone. I won't have sex with Dirk. Leave it. I won't. This guy is talking nonsense. Derek turned to Elena. Do you want to leave with him? Elena replied, I have no choice. If I don't leave, something very bad will happen. Derek decided to get rid of the irritant and told the security guys, throw this guy out now. They moved towards him, one on each side, and they grabbed him by the hands. Alex watched Elena. She didn't move. She just looked. Then she stepped towards Derek. It took Alex less than 10 seconds to disarm the two guards. He stomped on one's foot, turned and punched the other in the throat. Then he turned to the first one and also hit him in the throat. They fell like big trees. Alex heard his song. The rhythm sounded in his head, laugh loud and clear composition on the air drum roll. Now nothing could stop him. Derek got burned. Derek felt fear like he had never felt before. Elena's soft-hearted husband is going to kill him, and in an instant he realized that he could not defend himself. But I tried. He swung at Alex, who stepped aside and laughed. Alex swayed to the music. He hit Derek in the crotch and then hit him under the ear with the edge of his hand, and Derek fell. Everything happened very quickly. None of the women had time to react. They were stunned by the rapid disposal of the security guys and barely had time to move before Alex knocked the big Dereky down with a second blow. Alex obeyed the rhythm in his heat, beating his rhythm. He raised his leg above Derek, but Elena realized that Alex was going to kill Derek and she screamed. No Nikki, he's not worth it. Alex heard her not words but a cry. Primal fear, and he hesitated. Derek fell but didn't pass out. He was a professional athlete and an elite one at that. When Alex hesitated, Derek staggered to his feet and rushed to the pool, running for his life. He ran straight to the deep end of the pool and hit his head on the diving board. He didn't know how to swim. It didn't matter, though, because he was unconscious. Isabella followed him. When she saw Dereky in the pool, she screamed. He was already underwater. He couldn't swim at all. Alex and Elena were next to her. Alex saw Dereky was drowning, took off his boots, dove into the water and pulled Derek back to the surface. He dragged him to the side and pushed him out of the pool onto the concrete at the feet of the women. Alex climbed out of the pool in a flash. He turned Derek into the correct position and, with a few thrusts, squeezed the water out of his lungs. The water came out and Derek started coughing. Alex turned to Isabella, call 9911. She turned and ran into the house. Derek panted, still coughing a little. Alex examined him and when he was sure that Derek was out of danger, he left. Elena stared after him, feeling dead inside. Alex checked the condition of the two guards. They were alive and conscious. However, they needed medical attention. Alex was all wet, but he sat on the steps at the entrance and waited for the police and ambulance. Soon 2 police cars and 2 ambulances arrived. Everyone was fussing around. Alex was waiting. He saw 2 security guys come out on their own, but they were put into an ambulance. Derek was soon carried out, but he was conscious and in no danger. However, he was taken away anyway. He waited. Isabella came up to him and said, I'll give you dry clothes. Come with me. He followed her up the stairs. She pulled a t-shirt and a sweater from the closet in the master bedroom, both of which were too big for him. He moved towards the bathroom to change clothes, but Isabella said, change your clothes right here. I want to see what she gave up. Alex took off his shirt. His shoes were left somewhere by the pool. He took off his socks, then he dropped his trousers. Only boxers remained. They were still wet. He looked at Isabella. She smiled at him and he took them off. Despite everything, he had an erection. Isabella looked at him carefully and threw him some sweat paint. He turned around so she could see everything. Then he put on a t-shirt and sweater. Isabella said, you don't have a drop of fat. You're too good to be true. What's Elena's problem now? He was already wearing pants. He said, how should I know? Maybe we need a bigger man's instrument, maybe a famous athlete, but really I think he just starved her out. He's a handsome guy, isn't he? Yes, That's for sure, you know. Alex, if you ever need reassurance, you can call me fine. I might need this. Of course, it could be. Ava. This girl is just a naughty girl. She will become a big star. She definitely brought out the stars in my eyes. She is the X factor for me, so maybe Elena overestimated her capabilities, but you have a child. The main reason I stayed with Derek was the children. Besides, he's handsome, but on set I was going to have sex with Dirk, and where is he? I haven't seen him since it all started. Yes, big action hero. He ran away by the time the guards hit the ground. He was already in flight. I changed my mind about having sex with him. I think Derek will change his mind about having sex with Elena, but maybe you want to sleep with Sam. Certainly, as they say, what goes around comes around. He smiled and said, but if you ever need me for any reason, I'll help you necessarily, I'll listen. She laughed. Let's see what happens to Elena and with Sam. They returned downstairs. As Elena emerged from the cafeteria where the police were stationed, she looked at the couple suspiciously and asked, what are you two up to? You look guilty. Isabella replied, look, who's talking we? Well, I gave Alex a change of clothes and I watched him change his clothes. You're an idiot, Elena. Isabella left. A police detective came out of the room and called. Alex sat down opposite two policemen. The guy was an older white man with the look of a corner dog. The woman was elegantly dressed, young and somewhat attractive. Stevens and Bright Stevens took the initiative. Are you some kind of wizard? No, but I'm good at it. As a child I was small, I had to study. Tell me what happened. Alex went through all the events as he remembered them. 2 hours have passed since the rescue, but he remembered everything well. At the end, Bri asked, were you going to kill Mr. Grayson? Hard to say. My wife screamed and I went out of my rhythm after that. I wouldn't do it. So you saved his life. I couldn't watch him drown. I was no longer in killing mode then. Besides, if he were dead now, I would have much more about bigger problems. You know he hit me first. Well, I tried. That's what everyone says, but that was after you defeated the security guys. Yes, everything was as I said. Will you arrest me? No, the decision is up to the prosecutor, but the case will receive wide publicity. So we don't know. The new prosecutor is a liberal, so we have no idea what she'll do. So I can go home. Yes, by the way, there are videos everywhere in this house. We are downloading it now. We will contact you if we have any further questions. Don't blame Derek Grayson for trying to hit me. He's good for nothing. Bright laughed, but Stevens remained serious. Alex wasn't trying to be funny. Alex walked out onto the main landing, where Elena was sitting on the stairs with Isabella. He looked at her and said, I'm leaving. You can come with me or not. Elena stood up. She turned to Isabella and said, Isabella, thank you for an interesting evening. Isabella smiled at her. I hope the next party will be a little more modest. I also hope that you both make peace. She looked straight at Elena. I was completely serious when I said what I said. He is awesome in my own way. You were a fool. Ava won't be such a fool if she gets the chance. Elena and Alex got into the car and Alex drove off. They returned home at 2:30 at night. Elena took a shower first, then Alex. She was already asleep when he came out, and 2 minutes later he fell asleep too. This Saturday they both overslept. Alex got up around 10:00 and went to prepare breakfast. He was hungry at the party. I only ate a small salad. Elena appeared while he was eating cereal. She was dressed in a short sleeveless dress of faded pink, knowing full well what Alex liked about this old thing. But Alex looked at her and went back to his cereal. A minute later he said, I'm not that simple, and even if it did, it would just be sex. Elena smiled. That would be a great start. Just let me know I owe you and I'm ready to pay and pay and pay. Alex was crazy about her. but then I thought about Ava. Elena was eating cereal corn chewing. She spoke. I'm sorry that I tried to conspire against you. It was very wrong, and I hope that someday I will be forgiven. Until then, you can get whatever you want from me. She looked at him up and down in the last few hours. 2 movie stars and my very sexy wife have proposed to me, and yet somehow I managed to resist, which is more than you could have done if I had left you there with Derek. This is strength. Well, that's what I thought, but you beat him like a drum. I knew you did this in the dojo, but God, Alex, I'm very good at a lot of things. Elena, maybe I just don't promote myself enough. I told you about my hobby. Yes, I told you. Can I go to the dojo with you for what? She blushed because it's so hot you can beat up anyone and I can't help it. When I imagined you beating up those guys, including Derek, I almost reached a no contact. Climax, I'm a puppet in your hands. She stood up and took off her dress. There was nothing underneath. He looked her up and down. I saw how excited she was. He stood up, walked around the kitchen table and pointed to the floor. She immediately knelt down, realizing what he wanted, and pulled out his male instrument. The last one was not so easy because he was very hard. Then she said about it with a fervor she had not shown for a long time. He was impressed. He picked her up and carried her to the living room sofa, bending her over the back. She knew what to do. She squirmed in front of him. He spread her and plunged inside, rubbing the sensitive part of her private part against the back of the sofa with its rough upholstery. She reached the finish line and exploded like a TNT bomb. He continued to work on her and she continued to pulsate, rising to the heights of climax. Then he came to the finish line, erupting like a volcano again and again. Alex knew she wasn't faking her new attraction to him, not to say that she had been as cold as a fish before, but to be honest, their sex had been a little stagnant until that evening in Black Rock. Now she was so hot for him and very hot for herself. Alex's thoughts raced between movie stars. He wanted Ava badly. She may have become a threat to his marriage, but he also wanted Isabella. He saw her when she looked at him naked and he could have her. She saw how easily he handled her big, strong husband and it turned her on. Just as Elena was aroused. He thought that he could have many women just at what cost, beating up their men. No, he couldn't do that, at least not often. He needed to think things through. Of course not all women want a guy to beat up their man and them. Of course that wouldn't be civilized. Elena caressed his manhood and then grinned saying, "Oh, we'll have so much fun." They spent most of Saturday in the grip of all-consuming lust. We had sex in every way we could think of by 10:00 at night. Alex was exhausted and couldn't do it anymore. Elena cheered saying, "I won the sex competition. You were a good competitor, but the woman has the advantage." She didn't say, but she thought, let's get the next one. He was still giggling as he fell asleep, but if he had heard her thoughts, he would not have been so complacent. Sunday started off modestly. Elena made pancakes and they used good maple syrup. Then Elena took the last pancake covered in syrup, lifted her skirt and rubbed the pancake all over her crotch and then stuffed it into herself. She looked at him and smiled, saying, "It seems like my eyes are hungrier than my stomach. Maybe you want to eat the last pancake." Alex ate the pancake and licked all the syrup. Elena was delighted. All it took to bring her Superman husband to his knees was to place some sweets in the right place. Alex's face was covered in syrup and crumbs. When he finished breakfast, Elena pushed him onto the carpet and straddled him. She started licking the syrup off his face while rocking on top of him. She made it most of the way before they both reached the finish line, collapsed on top of him. She smeared her face a little with syrup Royale Vermont maple, the very best. It tasted pretty funny, though the rest of the day was less impressive. Both were tired and decided to take a walk in the local park and have a picnic. There were no more pancakes. When we returned home after our walk, Elena asked, "Are we okay about Friday?" Alex looked at her and replied no. Elena looked shocked. "Why, we love each other." I know that you plotted for both of us to break our promises. I need to understand everything. You know. I have other options. Sam, I knew. Damn, yes, you used your special knowledge of me to force me to break my oath just so big, Derek, could you? I guess it was pure lust. He constantly pestered me. He is hot, but don't you think that if everything had worked out the way you planned, we would eventually break up? No, why lack of trust, lack of respect? Elena lowered her eyes. I haven't really thought about all this. When Derek set his guys on me, I looked at you and you stepped towards him. I must have assumed they would throw me out. Alex, they were big and everything, yeah, and when they threw me out, you and Derek would have sex and the marriage would be over. I think I'd go with you. Alex. Lust or not? I really doubt it. I'd say it's 50-50 and you know it makes me feel humiliated. I will never let myself go through this again. I know what you can do now. I know when I think about this, I feel uneasy. Elena, I don't want you to be loyal to us just because you think I'm the strongest animal in the jungle. I thought we loved each other. When you suggested that Derek might eliminate me as a nuisance, you stepped towards him. She sobbed and ran out of the room upstairs. He didn't follow her. They both knew that what he said was true. Alex had a couple of beers and watched a baseball game. When faced with an important decision or a stressful situation, he usually thought as if immersed in himself. Then he would surface and ask himself a few questions. Now his thoughts are on baseball only. The game was great and he became very interested when it was all over. He asked the obvious question: what were his prospects? The first is to stay with Elena. The second is to date Ava and see what happens next. Third, Isabella, and then play in the field for a while, or he thought he could do all three. But this is unrealistic, just a fantasy, and recently he was shown what happens when fantasies come true. Life turns to crap. Alex stood up and went upstairs to bed. Elena was already asleep. He kissed her forehead and fell asleep next to her. When they woke up, Alex kissed her again and said nothing more. They got dressed and Elena went to work on Monday. Alex called Ava and said he was going to try staying with Elena for a while. He asked her to call him when she returned from filming. She agreed. Then she said Elena is a lucky girl. Alex, if she goes too far, please call, please. Oh, I'll call. Alex called Isabella. How is Derek doing? He will be discharged from the hospital today. His reproductive organs are swollen. I can't say I'm surprised. I'd like to talk to him if possible. Should he call me when he's ready? I'm not going to quarrel with him. I'll ask. I'll pick him up now. Later that day, Alex came to Derek and Isabella's apartment in the city. Derek was sitting on the sofa. What do you need? Sorry for not getting up. I wanted to say that I decided to try to save my marriage. Of course, I'm not very pleased that you spent so much time and effort ruining everything, but I can understand famous man. Sometimes he behaves narcissistically. Yes, I'm actually sorry. You can say I'm in. I was like that with Elena and with you, but I'm not always like this. Then why now? I found her to be super attractive, sexy and smart. So smart. Sorry if she's still your consultant. Can you get rid of her? Yes, especially because you could very well kill me if I don't. It's bad for both of us, especially for me, something like that. Fine, keep your word. I'll hold back. Isabella, who was listening to them, said I will make sure he is satisfied. I'll take it with me to the ship shoot and relieve you of excessive enthusiasm. Alex smiled. He's a lucky guy and he knows it isn't that right. Dear. I know I just forgot for a while. By the way, Alex, thanks for getting me out of the pool, but why did you do this? I couldn't watch you drown, but if you watch the footage, you will see how I hesitated before diving. I don't know what to think about you. He pointed to his groin. It hurts, but but at least I'm alive. Yes, not an easy situation. Look, I have nothing against you if you leave her alone. In fact, I don't want to offend Elena, but I may not stay with her. If I don't stay, you'll have a chance, but ask first, why would you leave her? I don't understand. Derek said recent events with this stupid plot to switch things up so you could hear. This is an important point in my thinking. Suppose I were not as good as I actually am, then your guards would have kicked me out, and where would Elena have slept that night? I don't know the answer to this question. Isabella said I bet she would go home with you. She didn't want to leave the marriage. I wanted my stallion to her here, letting you, Sam, a dream come true for you. Once Sam left, her plan went off the rails, but she stepped towards Derek. I saw this on video. You should watch it too. I actually think she might have come with me, but maybe not. I just don't know what to think. He was talking mostly to Isabella now, but Derek intervened. When it comes to lust and sex, women are just as weak as men. I spent a lot of time and effort trying to get under Elena's skirt, and damn, she resisted. She wanted sex with me and very much, but she flew it. She never went with me to some motel and didn't let me her on her table like I wanted. We must give her credit, but I'm not an empty place. Alex looked at him. Okay, I give her credit. Maybe I'm overthinking. For a long time we were fine, but damn, it was so bad. Isabella said give her time. By the way, Sam asked about you. Well, you know what's wrong with you. I told her what happened there, though she was there ready to climax over the phone. It's about Elena's chances. What's the matter with women? Is it like during the cavemen beat up your husband, get your wife? This is so crazy, darling. I think it's programmed in the genes. As soon as a woman finds out that you are the arbiter of destinies, she wants you. This happens to Elena too, right? Yes, me too. She looked at him as if she was ready to drag him upstairs right then and there. Derek growled, but he could barely move. Alex said I'd better leave. Isabella, you are one of the options I've been considering, but I have to talk to Elena. Finally, Alex left with palpable excitement when Elena returned from work. Alex immediately took her upstairs while Liam was watching a video in the TV room. Alex drew Elena onto the bed and her hard until she climaxed. He didn't think about satisfying her, but she still reached a strong climax. Elena was breathing heavily as he stood up from her and said, "Hello, how was your day?" Alex laughed, and so did. She was so smart. He said, "I went to Derek and Isabella. Isabella turned me on without even touching, but you got me." Elena asked what's for dinner. Pizza, then me again, he agreed. This time they were in no hurry. It was very pleasant for both of them. After dinner, Liam went to his room to study and Elena asked, "Are we fine?" "Because I'm sorry that I react to the fact that you are an alpha male. I can't do anything about it. I guess Isabella does too." "Yes, and now you beat her husband, former alpha male." "How is he?" "By the way, he will get better. His reproductive organs were swollen, but Isabella will take him with her to the film shoot." "Cute. She nurses him and he won't have sex with that idiot." Dirk. There was an order between Elena and Alex that Alex liked. He got it when he wanted and how he wanted it, but in some strange way he was tired of it. She was so submissive. 6 weeks later, Isabella and Derek returned and invited Elena and Alex to Black Rock, another party with the cast and crew of the film. Alex was ambivalent, Elena too, but they decided to go. It was a movie party, no athletes except Derek. Elena was driving and she asked the valet to park the car. Isabella met them at the door and Ava came right behind them with a dark-haired, brown-eyed handsome man. Isabella said, "Welcome Sam, you know Elena and Alex. Guys, Sam is Raphael Cap. He is also starring in the film." Raphael said, "Well, unless they cut me out during editing." Sam assured they won't cut it out. Big boy. Women need to be attracted too. They all went inside. Alex found himself jealous of Raphael and Sam. Derek met them at the buffet. She and Alex shook hands. This time there was no male competition. Derek gave Elena a rather chaste hug. Elena and Alex began to circulate in the crowd. This crowd consisted of the film's crew, including director Hector Salas and financier Blake Davis. The two were busy with themselves. Alex was not at all eager to approach them, and just like that, Hector began to pursue Elena. He told her that she should pass the casting and then she could star in the film. Elena laughed. Hector hugged Elena, but she soon pushed him away. He was a big guy with big hands and a big nose, not very pleasant to look at, impudent. Alex knew Elena wouldn't have any problems with him. The party continued for some time. Alex drank beer and ate kebab. Elena was talking to Raphael by the pool. She seemed to attract attention from all sides. Ava and Isabella approached Alex, who was watching Elena. Sam asked, "Are you worried?" "No, I believe we have reached a new agreement." "How are things going with you and Raphael?" Isabella replied, "Is a sexy man, and she was all alone." Alex looked at Sam. She nodded. "That's pretty much how it was. He is a rake. He'll try to hit on Elena. In fact, this is exactly what he is doing now." Alex said, "Well, she is independent. If she screws up, we're screwed, but I believe that we will be okay." Sam said, "I can't say I'm glad to hear this." Isabella chimed in, "Me too." Alex laughed. Two super sexy movie stars s crap. They separated. Alex walked over to where Elena was still talking to Vine. It seemed to Alex that Raphael seemed to slightly wedge himself into her space. He took her hand and asked, "So Raphael, what's it like to make a movie?" Raphael replied, "I was just telling Elena that this is very hard work, not at all romantic." "Well, there is Sam." Raphael smiled. "We must admit that this is so." Alex led Elena aside where Derek stood alone. He didn't mix well with the movie people, except for the two stunt men. Elena asked, "How was it on the set?" "You went right." "Yes, lasted 2 weeks, but it wasn't that much fun. Just to be with Isabella." The first left when filming of her stallion ended. "I didn't have to kill him." Alex said, "This is good, things could get messy." The three of them laughed. Dirk was on the other side of the pool talking to a young woman who looked fascinated by him. Derek said, "This is one of the extras who was brought in late. She probably hadn't seen him before, looks like he's making progress." Elena said, "I heard from an anonymous source that he has very great dignity." Derek looked at her and she replied, "No, this is not Isabella." Elena had a couple of other clients who might be dating Dirk. Alex said, "Great dignity. What is this?" and replied, "I wasn't that inquisitive." Alex nodded, "Fine." The evening continued with some people using the pool, but not Derek. The most interesting thing for Alex was when Ava came out in a bikini and started swimming. In fact, it was interesting to almost the entire male cast of guests when Sam appeared and dove into the pool. Isabella was standing next to Alex. She muttered, "Braga." Alex said, "You can take a swim too, but some guys can get overly excited and I'll watch." Isabella stared at Alex. Then she smiled at him and said, "I will do it if you do it too." Elena heard this, looked at Alex and said, "Well, now is the time to speak or remain silent. Just no prolonged physical contact." Alex and Isabella went upstairs. Alex didn't have swim trunks, but there were several different sizes available for the guests. Isabella tossed Alex a black thong. He tossed them back and chose an old-fashioned pair of swim trunks. She gave him blue ones instead, compromise. Isabella undressed and put on a bikini. Alex watched with interest. She was beautiful. She nodded towards her swimming trunks. Alex took off all his clothes and tried to get into his swimming trunks. But watching Isabella began to excite him. "Help." She asked. "No." Alex answered, "Please do not, I have enough problems, as it is." He squeezed himself into his swim trunks and lost his hardness in the process. The two of them went downstairs. Isabella plunged into the water, took 3 steps and dived in next to Sam. Alex was impressed with the dive. There was a diving board and Alex knew how to use it. He jumped, took a few short steps and performed a perfect somersault into the water, emerging to applause. One of those who applauded was Elena. She knew that every woman present wanted him, including the movie stars in the pool, but he was hers at least for a while. Vic approached Elena as she watched Alex flirt with Sam and Isabella and said, "You are as beautiful as those two." She looked at him. He was very handsome, big and beautiful. She said, "Thank you, but your mission to get me will not succeed and in the end you won't like what happens with feigned disappointment." He smiled charmingly. He was definitely an actor. Gil, Sam and Alex left the pool. Isabella said, "There are suites upstairs for anyone who wants to swim and on the tennis court we will have dancing to music with a DJ." Sam and Isabella, along with Alex, approached Elena and Raphael openly stared at women. Then, to Elena's surprise, he started staring at Alex. Elena asked Sam what does it mean and Sam laughed. "He plays for both teams." "Interesting guy. I'll tell you, maybe you should keep an eye on Alex." Elena giggled. "If Alex leaves with him, I'll get to Derek and perhaps to both of you too." Isabella and Sam, still wet, moved closer to Elena as if some secret signal had passed between them. They began to hug her one on each side until she broke away. She sighed, "Just kidding girls, kidding." Both women looked so disappointed until they started laughing. Alex watched all this and his swimming trunks could not hide his reaction. All the women noticed this immediately. Isabella said, "Oh God, Alex, what is this?" Alex replied, "You know you saw it." Then Sam said, "But I didn't see it. Now it's my turn." She grabbed Alex's hand and pulled him inside and up the stairs. Elena followed them. She was still dressed but wet from the hug, plus she needed to protect Alex from the predatory Sam. If this is still possible. She thought that this was all almost out of control and the threat was only growing, but it turned out that she was not so against it. Right behind Elena was Isabella. She was more than curious what would happen. The 4 of them found themselves in the master bedroom, where Alex had previously shed his clothes. Elena said, "We have to get out of these wet things." Isabella let out a cry of glee and her top fell to the floor, and before she had even pulled her bottom off, Sam was already naked. Elena took longer, as she was wearing a dress and panties, but not much longer. Alex became a victim of sexual overload. He stood there stunned by the way the women looked at each other. He understood that almost anything could happen, but he did not know what he wanted. Strictly speaking, this was a lie. He understood perfectly well that he wanted to all 3 of them, and first of all Sam, but this did not fit in with his position on sexual morality and marriage. But this position has already changed a lot. Despite all the prohibitions. Isabella came up behind him, knelt down and pulled his trunks down, his tool popping out. She reached out and brushed his hands. Sam moved closer to Elena, pulled her close and kissed her. Elena answered, but then Isabella came out from behind Alex. She said, "No more promiscuity. The party continues and I am the hostess and I won't let you 3 have sex without me." She tossed Sam and Elena dresses for the pool short. "I put one of them on myself." Alex was still naked and the women were looking at him. Elena asked, "How do we dress him?" Isabella replied, "Why should we let him wear clothes?" Sam said, "Because we want it for ourselves. If it comes to that, we have to cut off Raphael and those young girls." Elena said, "I didn't agree to anything." She tossed Alex's usual swimming trunks and a t-shirt. Both others groaned. They all went down to the tennis court where the dancing was taking place. Derek walked up to Alex and said, "Have you already all 3? "No, although Lord, we changed clothes right there in your bedroom." "Sorry, but there was nothing special." Isabella stopped everything. "Derek. I couldn't stop myself. I guess I'm weak." Derek said, "I am ready to exchange with you for tonight." Alex looked at him. "No, that sounds interesting, but no, Isabella is a real tigress. I just cannot. Oh, my mother raised me wrong. Derek laughed and then said, well, at least I'll dance with her Sam too. Derek walked up to Elena and took her to the floor to dance the jitterbug. Elena looked at Alex, who waved at her. The crowd thinned out. Isabella danced with Vic. Ava walked up to Alex and simply led him onto the dance floor. As the DJ switched to slow music, Alex pulled her close. Sam whispered in his ear, I think the time has come for us. Derek has Elena. He will turn her on and Isabella will try Vic. This was the ultimate test of his toughness. Moral fortitude too. He passed one test but failed the other. The whole party looked like a bunch of teenagers playing spin. The slow music ended and Alex and Sam started dancing to the medium-fast music. Sam danced really well. She slid around. Alex slid over her body and began to harden again. She answered him the same. They disappeared into each other. Meanwhile, Derek, as predicted, turned Elena on at first. He held back remembering the last party, but Elena got excited and Alex waved her through, allowing her to go to the floor with Derek. Isabella and Vic weren't so excited. Isabella was more interested in the other two couples. Vic was fine, but Isabella was interested in Sam and Alex. It was like a depraved morality game. She knew that if Alex left with Sam, Elena would go upstairs with Derek, but I didn't know what would happen and she didn't know what she would do if they split into pairs. She thought she would join Derek with Elena first, maybe then to Sam and Alex. Vic remained out of work. Then, at the pre-arranged time, DJ Mick took a break. It was unpleasant for him to do this because he was interested in the events on the dance floor, but union rules and all that. I'll be back in 10 minutes. He said quietly and went to get a beer. Trade union rules. There were only 6 of them left, plus the staff. Everyone approached the table between the pool and the dance floor. There were a few sidelong glances, no chatter, lots of tension. Isabella said, I was wondering which of you I would join first. This statement was like a bomb dropped on the table. Elena held Derek's hand. Alex and Sam were sitting on the love seat, with her legs resting on his lap. Isabella was sitting on Vic, but it was as if he was just her chair. He felt left out exactly. Elena looked at Alex and she saw that Sam would take him if she wanted, and it was at that moment that Elena decided that Alex was the only man for her and that she did not want to share him. She stood up, dropping Derek's hand, swaying slowly. She walked over to Alex and leaned down to kiss him. Alex kissed her back. Sam was still on his lap and heard Elena whisper to Alex, It's time to go home. My love. Enough excitement to keep us going until next time. Sam stood up from Alex groaned, but Elena pulled him towards her and wrapped her arm around his waist. She looked around and said, I'll take this man home where he belongs. On the way out, Alex took the keys. He was in a trance-like state, so Elena drove the car. When they arrived home, Elena immediately took him to bed and removed his skimpy clothes. She covered him with her body and took possession of him. They made love slowly and sensually. Alex didn't think about Sam. He was only here with his wife. Everyone admits weakness sometimes, and at that moment we rely on others to make sure everything is okay, and we're lucky if we have someone who can do it. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode of the story, please give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe to get notifications for updates.